Okay, American Gothic, episode 14. And this one's Inhumanitas, which is just Latin for inhumanity or brutality. I was kind of hoping it had some deeper meaning than that, but it's all good. So we open on in a church, and it's kind of fun little moment. So Pat Hingle, who is Commissioner Gordon in the Tim Burton Batman movies. You probably know him from loads of other stuff, but that's who I always remember him most as. He's a guy called Father Tilden. So this guy is a different person than the father of Selena, who's also in the church. So I'm not sure if, I don't know, Anyway, so the sheriff is in confession, and Father Tilden is confessing to him, spilling all the secrets people told him in confession. And all of this is because the sheriff made sure that when there was a big fire that the church didn't get burned down. So that's kind of interesting. The only thing he really tells the sheriff that's of interest to the sheriff is that Caleb is talking to Merlin again, and we get some kind of a earthquake or something that freaks out Father Tilden. And then Merlin appears in a statue, and she tells the sheriff that she's come for him. Credits. So we have two plots here, again, which is fairly standard. We have a sheriff kind of story, and then we have the parts with Merlin. So throughout this episode, Merlin just kind of does things to annoy the sheriff. He's trying to make one of his deals, and she rattles the pictures on the walls, and she makes blood come out of Selena's shower head, and just sort of stuff to freak him out and let her know that she's there. But the plot with the sheriff, there was a lawyer who successfully sued the department for wrongfully breaking someone's arm or something like that. So the sheriff pushes this guy to sell his land, but this man promised his father that he would never sell it. And there's a guy that lives on the property called Bertie, and he's blind. And this lawyer promised his father on his deathbed that he wouldn't, that Bertie could live there rent-free for life, and he would take care of him. Because this guy's part of the family sort of thing. So, but the lawyer's wife wants the cash, so she's encouraging him to go for the deal that the sheriff's making. So yeah, there's a little moment where the lawyer goes to see Bertie and kind of asks him hey, would you want to move or whatever? And obviously this guy wants to stay in his own home, which is perfectly fair. And Bertie's dog barks at the lawyer guy, so I don't know. I feel like it's kind of a motif of he's a marked man or something. When the lawyer doesn't seem like he will sell, the sheriff ups the money, makes a joke about maybe you could just dismember Bertie and bury him in the basement. I'm why do people keep making jokes in this about dismembering people, But then basically they get social services in to sort of get Bertie out of the way. And there's a hilarious moment where, so this lawyer's gone to meet the sheriff, and the sheriff's pressuring him to take the deal. And Merlin is just there as the waitress in the restaurant that they're at. And then Bertie's head just appears on her body. It's hilarious. It's just really bad. It's so weird. But anyway, basically the lawyer kind of agrees to it. Merlin tries to stop him, but he's not really listening. And yeah, basically the lawyer, for some reason, signs the contract to sell his property without reading it, and he gets totally screwed over for exactly the same amount as what the sheriff had to pay in damages in the case. So he has his revenge, and in a nice little moment at the end, Bertie gets to move back into the place that he was promised to live with until his old age. So that's nice. The other plot line is that Merlin goes to Father Tilden. He's looking for someone to burn down the church, and she's like, you need to drive out the evil, not burn down the church. And she asks him to take Caleb in. He realizes that she's Merlin, and so he kind of trusts her because he knows that she's come from the other side, I guess, and has good intentions and all that kind of thing. Caleb's a little bit mad at her because she's not around as much, even though she's back. And he kind of warns her that he's starting to maybe think the sheriff isn't so bad, which later he admits was not really how he feels. So yeah, and she says a thing to Caleb about he only sees her as his sister because he needs to. So I'm like, does that mean that she's just an angel and she appears as his sister like for that reason? But then I'm like, that doesn't fit with anything else that happens in this episode, so I'm not sure what that's about. The Father Tilden threatens the sheriff, and all the stuff that Merlin's doing is kind of getting to the sheriff. Like, he even kind of starts to admit to Selena in one scene that he's scared, but then he's like, you know, is this what fear feels like, as if he's never felt it before? And then he's like, I feel better if I hurt people, and he's like, I'm gonna hurt you. So she's into it. I mean, I don't know, they have a weird relationship, those two. But yeah, the sheriff, it seems like Merlin could actually beat the sheriff. So yeah, so basically Caleb goes and hides in the basement of the church because Merlin asks him to, and the priest like has agreed to that and stuff. The father has like a sermon, and he kind of confesses to his congregation and retires as a priest. So when he's afterwards, he's like packing up his crucifix collection basically, and he has like a heart attack while Buck is in his office, and I guess he died like praying, so I think that means that, you know, he's made peace with his maker or whatever. And then Merlin confronts the sheriff in the church, and she like confronts him, and he uses his powers to like set her on fire, but then she defeats that, and then she's about to break his neck, but Caleb runs in, and then this is kind of like important, but like the sheriff can move into Caleb's body like at will. So if she kills the sheriff, then he'll just move into Caleb's body or something. And we learn that the sheriff thinks that Caleb has some kind of powers as well. So it's like the sheriff won this round, but it's not over. And like, it seems like he's genuinely worried. There was one other little thing. Oh, there's a bit where Merlin walks in front of the sheriff's car when he's parked. So he steps out of his car to like, because he sees that it's her, and he almost gets hit by a truck. So it's kind of, I don't know, things are escalating a lot in this episode. I don't know. I like the ones with Merlin in them. I just think she's kind of a weird, interesting character. So yeah, I guess at this point, episode, where are we at? We're at 14. We're kind of getting towards some kind of, you know, things are building for some kind of denouement at the end. So yeah, good episode.